Alright, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 2.6, Sales Tax, Tips, and Markup. So we're going to be talking about money. First, we're going to start off with sales tax. Okay, so sales tax is an additional amount of money charged on items that people buy. The total cost of an item is the regular price plus the sales tax. So this is when you go to the store and you buy something. So say you went to the store and bought a chocolate milk, okay, and say the chocolate milk was $2, okay? You have to pay that $2, but you also have to pay tax on it, okay, the sales tax. Now, it depends on where you live. Now, where we live, 7%. Okay, so basically you're paying 7% of that $2. So you add those two amounts together, and that's your total cost. So your total cost is what you are paying out of your pocket. Now, here is a snippet of one of my receipts. This is from Staples, okay? And if you look, okay, so I bought 4 things. And those 4 things came out to a subtotal. Okay, the subtotal was $39.98. So everything together that I bought, okay, so $1 plus $1 plus $4.49 plus $33.49 came out to $39.98. Okay, so I have to pay that, but I also have to pay the tax, the sales tax. Now here, again, the sales tax is 7%. So when I paid my standard sales tax, 7%, okay, that came out to $2.80. So 7% of $39.98 is $2.80. Now my total, okay, it says total there, the total is the amount that I had to pay out of pocket. Excuse me. And that total amount came out to be $42.78. So in total, I paid $42.78. Now, we are trying to do a lesson on finding the sales tax, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that I never told you that the tax was $2.80, and we are going to try to figure it out on our own and see if we get the same answer, okay? So the first thing that I had you guys do was take the tax rate and change it to a decimal. So our tax rate here is 7%, right? And it says 7%. Now to change that to a decimal, we have to take that decimal point and move it 2 spaces to the left. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and we're going to go 1, 2. Okay? Now in that empty loop, we're going to put a 0. Okay? So now we have 0.0700, and we can get rid of those 2 zeros at the end. We don't need them. So it's going to be 0.07. Okay, that's our decimal. Now what we do is we take that number, we take that decimal, and we are going to multiply it by the subtotal. So we're going to multiply it by the price of the items that I bought, which was $39.98. So $39.98 multiplied by the tax rate in decimal form, which was 0.07. Okay, now to save time, I'm going to give you that answer. So when you multiply it out, you get 2.7986. Okay, now remember, this is tax. When you're multiplying, the product that you get is your tax. So does this look like money? Does 2.7986 look like money? No. So we need to fix that. So we need to change that. We need to round it to the nearest cent. So I'm going to rewrite it, 2.7986. When you see money usually, there are 2 numbers after the decimal point. For example, $10.50, right? There are 2 numbers after the decimal point. Now, in place value, this is the tenths place, and this is the hundredths place. So the hundredths place is what we need to round to. Okay, so rounding to the nearest cent is basically rounding to the nearest hundredth. So here in this number, 2.7986, the hundredths place, okay, is occupied by the 9. So we're going to circle that 9, and we're going to look at the number next to it, okay, which is an 8. 5 or higher, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. 8 is higher than 5, so we're going to raise the score. Now, if you do 9 plus 1, it's 10, right? So what's happening is, if you think about it, what's the next number above 79? 80, right? So this is going to be changed to $2 $2.80. Okay, that's the tax. So let's go back and see if that's the same thing that they put on my receipt. $2.80. Okay, so that's how we find the tax. Now say we didn't know what the total was. Okay, to find the total, since we found the tax, we need to add together the amount that I paid, okay, for the items plus the tax. So the 4 items that I bought came out to be $39.98. Now plus the tax, so plus $2.80. Okay, so 8 plus 0 is 8, 9 plus 8 is 17, right? 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 2 is 12, 3 plus 1 is 4. Now when you add or subtract decimals, you line them up, see, which I did here. So that means you can just bring it right down. Okay, so $42.78. Let's see if that's what we had here. $42.78. Okay, so that is how you find the sales tax and how you find the total amount. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is tip, okay, or same word is gratuity. It's the same thing. It's a small amount of money in return for a service. The total price is the regular price of the service plus the tip. So this is when maybe you go to the barber shop and you get a haircut, or when you go get your nails done and you go to the restaurant, okay, you have to tip the waiter. You have to tip in certain services, okay, because that's how they make their money, and we did discuss this in class. So what I did here is I made a little receipt, okay, from the diner, and it says 3 bacon, egg, and cheeses at $4.49. So in that total, that was $13.77. Okay, so I went with 2 of my friends to the diner. Okay, we all got the same thing. Okay, then we all got 3 orange juices, right? 1 each. So at $1.75. So in total, that's $5.25. So the subtotal for what we ate and what we drank was $19.02. Okay, now tax, I should have put 7%. At 7%, okay, was $1.33. So 7% tax on $19.02 was $1.33. So in total, our bill or our check came out to be $20.35. Okay, but we are at a diner, we are at a restaurant, so we have to tip the waiter. Okay, so we're discussing what we want to tip, and we decide that we want to tip 20%. Okay, so we have to figure out what we are going to tip, and then we need to figure out what we're paying in total. Okay, so in order to find this out, we need to change the percent to a decimal, just like we did with sales tax. It's the same thing. So in order to do that, we have to take the decimal point and move it 2 spaces to the left. So our decimal would be here, right? Move it 2 spaces to the left. So now that turns into 0.20, okay? So what we have to do is we have to take this decimal and we have to multiply it by the total. So we're multiplying 20.35 times 0.20. Okay, so when we multiply out 20.35 times 0.20, okay, because remember 20.35 is the total of the check and we want to tip 20%. Okay, so what that comes out to, just to save time, is 4.07. So what that's telling us is that we want to tip $4.07. That's our tip. Okay, so that's what we're going to be leaving on the table for the waiter or waitress. But now we have to figure out what the total amount is, what we're paying in total. So remember, what we're paying in total, tip, think of the addition sign, okay, because we're adding. So what we're doing is we're going to be adding 20.35, right, the total of our check or our bill, plus the tip that we're going to leave, which is $4.07. So when we add the two, 20.35 plus 4.07, we get 24.42. So in total, okay, we are paying $24.42. Okay, so next we're going to be doing markup. Okay, so it says a store sells items for more than it pays for those items. The amount of increase is called the markup. The selling price is the amount the customer pays. So I gave you guys the example of my parents owning a dog grooming shop, and they sell leashes and collars and bones and stuff like that. So when they buy something to sell, so example, if they bought a leash for $5, okay, to make a profit, for them to make money, they need to mark up the price. They need to raise the price a little bit, okay? So instead of selling it for $5, in which they already paid that for, maybe they'll sell it for $10, okay? So that's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the markup, and then we're going to try to find the selling price of an item. Okay, so the example is here. Find the selling price of a $62.25 karaoke machine with a 60.5% markup. Okay, remember, when you see markup, the word markup, you're also going to think of the addition sign, okay, because we're going to be adding in the end. Mark up, right, raising the price. So this store, okay, bought this karaoke for $62.25, okay, but they want to sell it for more money so they can make a profit. So they're going to mark up the price 60.5%. So the first thing that we're going to do, in which we did with the sales tax and the tip, is we're going to change that percent to a decimal. So when we do that, we move the decimal point 2 spaces to the left. Okay, so it goes 1, 2. Right? So now we have 0.605. So we're going to take this number and we're going to multiply it by the karaoke machine price, which was $62.25. Okay, so when we multiply out 62.25 times 0.605, we get this number, 37.66125. Okay, now remember, this is the markup. Okay, this is the markup amount. So again, we're dealing with money here, and that does not look like money. So we need to round to the nearest hundredth. And in this case, the hundredth is the second 6 right here. So we look at the number next to it, which is a 1. 5 or higher, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So we're going to let that 6 rest. So it's going to be $37.66. So this is the markup. This is the markup price. Now the selling price, okay, is what the customer would pay for it. So just think about it. If the store paid $62.25, okay, and you said, okay, well, we found the markup and that's what they're going to sell it for, they're going to be losing money, right? So to find the selling price, what that store is going to sell it for to make themselves money, we need to add the markup price to the price that they paid for it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to add. So we're going to add 62.25 plus 37.66. Okay, so it's going to be 11 and 9, right? And when you add and subtract decimals, you have to line up the decimals, which I did here, right? And that just goes right down there. 2 plus 7 is 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. Okay, so the selling price for this karaoke machine comes out to be $99.91. So the karaoke is being sold for $99.91. Okay, so just to make sure, when you see that you're dealing with a problem with sales tax, tip, or markup, okay, you have to remember the addition sign. You are going to be adding, okay, because when you multiply those numbers and you find the sales tax or the tip and the markup, that's just the sales tax, the tip of the markup. But if they're asking you for the total price, you're going to need to add that amount onto the total amount or the subtotal.